Have you ever had one of those moments where you catch your reflection, and for just a split second, you don't recognize the person staring back at you? Not because you look different, but because something behind your eyes has shifted, something fundamental has changed, and you can't quite put your finger on what it is. That moment of not recognizing yourself isn't a glitch. It's not your imagination playing tricks on you. It's actually the most honest thing you'll experience all day, because what you're seeing is the space between who you were and who you're becoming. Right now, as you're watching this, you're standing at the edge of something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You're about to witness the death of your old self, not in some dramatic movie-like way where everything explodes and transforms overnight. This death is quiet, subtle, almost invisible to the outside world. But inside you, there's a revolution happening. Old patterns are dissolving. Beliefs you've carried for years are cracking apart. The version of you that got you to this point is preparing to step aside for the version that will carry you forward. And here's what nobody tells you about this process. It doesn't feel like growth at first. It feels like losing your mind. You start questioning things you never questioned before. Relationships that felt solid suddenly feel fragile. Goals that once excited you now leave you empty. The life you built starts feeling like clothes that no longer fit. Too tight in some places, too loose in others. Completely wrong for who you're becoming. Most people panic at this stage. They think something's wrong with them. They try to force themselves back into the old patterns, the old ways of thinking, the old version of themselves that felt safe and predictable. But you can't go backwards once this process starts. It's like trying to unlearn how to read or forget your own name. The old self is already dissolving whether you fight it or not. What you're experiencing isn't a breakdown. It's a breakthrough disguised as confusion. Your entire operating system is getting an upgrade. And like any major update, things get glitchy for a while. Files get reorganized. Old programs stop working. New features appear that you don't know how to use yet. The whole system runs slower until it learns how to optimize itself again. But here's the thing about this death of your old self. It's not random. It's not happening to you. It's happening through you. Every single thing that led you to this moment, every choice you made, every lesson you learned, every time you chose growth over comfort, it was all building toward this. You've been preparing for this transformation without even knowing it. Think about the last few months of your life. Haven't things felt different? Haven't you been noticing things you never noticed before? The way certain people drain your energy? The way certain activities that used to bring you joy now feel meaningless? The way your tolerance for superficial conversations has completely disappeared? The way you crave solitude more than social validation? These aren't random changes. These are symptoms of evolution. Your old self is the version of you that needed external approval to feel worthy. The version that said yes when you meant no, because disappointing others felt worse than betraying yourself. The version that stayed in situations that were slowly killing your spirit, because leaving felt too scary. The version that played small to make others comfortable with your presence. That version served you well for a time. It kept you safe, helped you survive, taught you important lessons about how the world works. But survival mode was never meant to be permanent. And the person you're becoming doesn't need those old strategies anymore. This new version of you operates from a different frequency entirely. Where the old you sought permission, the new you seeks alignment. Where the old you avoided conflict, the new you embraces necessary confrontations. Where the old you tried to fit in, the new you stands out without apology. The death of your old self isn't violent or traumatic. It's more like watching the sun set, gradual, beautiful in its own way, and absolutely inevitable. You don't mourn the sunset because you know the sunrise is coming. The old self doesn't disappear completely. It integrates. The best parts get absorbed into this new version, while the outdated parts fade away naturally. Right now, you're in the twilight phase. Not quite day, not quite night. Everything feels uncertain because you're literally between identities. The old rules don't apply anymore, but the new ones haven't fully formed yet. This is why everything feels so intense right now, why your emotions are more raw, why small things trigger big reactions, why you feel like you're living life with all your nerve endings exposed. You're not losing your mind. You're finding your truth. And truth has a way of disrupting everything that isn't aligned with it. Relationships built on old versions of you start feeling strained. Career paths that made sense to your old self suddenly feel like dead ends. Dreams you thought you wanted reveal themselves as someone else's expectations you internalized. This process of dying and being reborn is happening whether you understand it or not. But understanding it makes the journey less frightening. When you know that the confusion is temporary, that the discomfort is productive, that the uncertainty is actually clarity in disguise, you can stop fighting the process and start flowing with it. The version of you that's dying right now believes that happiness came from getting what you want. The version that's being born understands that happiness comes from wanting what you have. The old you thought success meant impressing others. The new you knows success means expressing your authentic self regardless of who's watching. Your old self measured worth through achievement. Your new self measures worth through alignment. Your old self sought to be understood by everyone. Your new self is content being misunderstood by those who were never meant to get you anyway. Your old self collected people and experiences to fill an inner void. Your new self creates from fullness rather than emptiness. This isn't just personal development or self-improvement. This is metamorphosis. You're not becoming a better version of who you were. You're becoming someone entirely different who happens to live in the same body and remember the same history. The caterpillar doesn't become a better caterpillar. It dissolves completely and reorganizes into something with wings. And just like the caterpillar has no concept of what it means to fly while it's still crawling, your old self can't imagine the possibilities that await the person you're becoming, the dreams that will make sense to your new self, the relationships that will feel natural and effortless, the work that will energize rather than drain you, the peace that will replace the constant striving. You're seeing this right before your old self dies because this is how transformation works. It gives you a front row seat to your own evolution. You get to witness the miracle of your own becoming. Most people sleepwalk through their lives and never get to see this process consciously, but you're awake for it. You're present for your own rebirth. The person you're becoming has been waiting patiently for this moment, not waiting for you to fix yourself or improve yourself, but waiting for you to remember yourself, to remember who you were before the world told you who to be, to remember your own voice before it got drowned out by everyone else's opinions, to remember your own dreams before they got buried under everyone else's expectations. The person who's been waiting isn't some idealized future version of yourself. It's the truest version that's always existed beneath all the layers of conditioning, fear, and adaptation. That person has been quietly observing every compromise you made, every time you dimmed your light, every moment you chose safety over authenticity. They haven't been judging you for it. They've been understanding that you needed to learn those lessons first. But now the learning phase is over. Now comes the unlearning. And unlearning is messier than learning ever was, because you have to dismantle things that once felt essential to your survival. You have to question beliefs that shaped your entire worldview. You have to release attachments that felt like core parts of your identity. This is why the death of your old self can feel so disorienting. It's not just changing your mind about things. It's changing your entire relationship with reality itself. The way you interpret situations, the way you respond to challenges, the way you show up in relationships, everything gets rewired from the ground up. And the strangest part is how normal it all feels once you stop resisting it. One day, you wake up and realize you haven't thought about that person who used to consume your thoughts. You notice you're no longer triggered by situations that used to send you spiraling. You find yourself speaking up when the old you would have stayed silent, making choices that feel obvious even though they would have terrified you months ago. Your nervous system is recalibrating. What used to feel dangerous now feels necessary. What used to feel safe now feels suffocating. Your body is literally rewiring itself to support this new version of who you are. That's why everything feels so sensitive right now. Your system is upgrading its threat detection software, learning to distinguish between actual danger and old programming. The people in your life are going to notice before you fully realize it yourself. They'll comment that something's different about you. Some will be curious, drawn to this new energy you're emanating. Others will be uncomfortable, unsettled by your transformation because it highlights their own stagnation. Both reactions are information, not instruction. You're going to lose some people during this process, not because you become cruel or uncaring, but because you become unavailable for the old dynamics that kept those relationships functioning. You stop being the person who absorbs everyone else's emotions. You stop being the one who always compromises to keep the peace. You stop being the audience for complaints about problems people refuse to solve. This isn't abandonment. This is evolution. And evolution is always selective. Not everyone can make the journey with you. And that's not your responsibility to manage anymore. Your responsibility is to honor what's trying to emerge through you, regardless of who understands it or approves of it. The death of your old self is also the death of your old problems. Issues that used to keep you awake at night suddenly resolve themselves or reveal their irrelevance. Dramas that used to consume your mental energy lose their power over you. Fears that used to control your decisions start feeling like distant memories from someone else's life. But new challenges emerge too. Not problems in the old sense, but growth edges that stretch you in directions you never expected. The challenge isn't survival anymore. It's creation. It's not about getting through life, but about expressing life through you. It's not about finding your purpose, but about becoming so aligned with yourself that purpose flows naturally through everything you do. Your old self believed in scarcity, that there wasn't enough love, enough opportunity, enough success to go around. So, you competed, hoarded, held back parts of yourself to save for special occasions. Your new self operates from abundance, not because you suddenly have more resources, but because you realize you've always been the resource. The gifts you thought you needed to develop were already fully formed, just buried under layers of doubt and conditioning. The love you thought you needed to earn was already yours, just blocked by beliefs about your worthiness. The freedom you thought you needed to achieve was already your natural state, just obscured by attachments to outcomes you can't control. This is what dying before you die really means. It's not a morbid concept. It's the most liberating thing that can happen to a human being. Because once you've experienced the death of everything you thought you were, you realize you're actually everything you thought you weren't. Infinite, unbreakable, free. The person watching this video right now is witnessing their own resurrection in real time. Not the dramatic kind with trumpets and lightning, but the quiet kind that happens in ordinary moments. When you choose truth over comfort, authenticity over approval, presence over performance, your old self is dying. And that's the best thing that could happen to you right now. Because what's being born in its place isn't just a new version of you. It's you without the limitations you thought were permanent. You without the stories you thought were true. You without the masks you thought were necessary. The butterfly doesn't miss being a caterpillar once it learns how to fly. The transformation happening inside you right now isn't just changing how you see the world. It's changing how the world sees you. There's an energy shift that occurs when someone stops trying to be who they think they should be and starts being who they actually are. People notice it immediately, even if they can't articulate what's different. You become magnetic in a way that has nothing to do with trying to attract anyone. It's the magnetism of authenticity, of someone who's finally stopped apologizing for existing. The old you might have worried about whether people like this new version. The emerging you understands that being liked by the wrong people is actually worse than being disliked by them. Your relationship with time is shifting too. The old you was always rushing towards some future moment when life would finally begin, when you'd finally be happy, successful, worthy, complete. The you that's emerging exists fully in this moment, because you've realized that this moment is where life actually happens. Not tomorrow when conditions are better, not yesterday when things felt easier. Right here, right now, in the messy middle of becoming. So, if this resonated with something deep inside you, if you felt that quiet recognition of your own transformation happening in real time, comment the word rebirth below. Not because I need the engagement, but because you need the declaration. You need to acknowledge out loud that you're not the same person who started watching this video. The old self that clicked play is already gone, and what's emerging is everything you were always meant to be. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning.